Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Newman. I'm Professor of Space Law and Policy at the University of Northumbria in Newcastle in the United Kingdom. I'm also International Space Law Advisor for Cold Star Technologies. I listen to the Cold Star Project.
This show is for entertainment purposes only and is not what is termed professional advice. The Cold Star Project is proudly presented by the Operational Excellence Society. Cold Star Tech is a supporter of the OPEX Society, and Jason Kanigan is a member of its board of advisors. Talk with us at Cold Star Tech to find out what we can achieve together with your Lean Six Sigma or Operational Excellence programs. And check out opexsociety.org to learn more. All right, my space and defense friends. Today we're going to take a little side trip. We're not going to do some technical or engineering thing. We're going to talk about something that matters for growing a real business. My friend Wes Schaeffer has been a sales trainer for a very long time. He's one of the few people I will take advice from in this field. And that's really important because who do you listen to is one of the most important questions in life. So Wes here offered a free accountability program last fall called 12 Weeks to Peak, and it was intended to help founders and salespeople with accountability and kind of get them flexing their sales muscles. There's a lot of activities that are required to do this through the end of 2022. And for me, I can say very comfortably it resulted in me doubling the revenue of my business and personal revenue that I brought in over that period. And I've signed up again because he's offering it for the first 3 months of 2023. Again, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. However, you do have to do the exercise, right? It's like going to the gym. But he is providing all of the tools. So when I read that he was offering this again for 2023, I felt that sense of responsibility, first of all, to help him promote it. Promoting a good idea is one of the things that I'm big on, right? I think I'm good at it. And number two, I realized personal benefit from being in the program through, until now, especially, right? Last fall and now. It made a significant difference. So I want you to hear about it, and Wes and I are going to discuss what the program's about, what you have to do, why you should be in it. So Wes, welcome. All right, back to the Cold Star Project with Wes Schaeffer, who's been on with me before, but it's been a few years. Like we did some CRM, like what CRM is best, and you've got your guide on picking the right CRM and that, being the Infusionsoft expert, I believe it was. You had the book. And that has become Keep, and who knows if they'll change the name again. But I wanted Wes back on because I did something, a program that he offered called 12 Weeks to Peak through the last 3 months of 2022. And we're just at the very end. It's December 30th today that we're recording this in 2022. And I got to say, I doubled my revenue because of that program. It was like going to the gym and doing reps and stuff like that. And I just built up strength. And what it really got me doing was more outreach than I had been comfortable doing before. And this program, 12 Weeks to Peak, is going to be offered again by Wes. I should say this is a completely transaction-free appearance. Wes is not paying me for any of this. I'm giving this of my own opinion and experience, which I feel is the best.
Well, and it's a free program too.
And it's a free program, right, to talk about. But I feel like I got to give that disclaimer anyway, right? Because there's so much fake promotion going on out there. I actually did this. I got the results. I know it works, right? And I'm continuing to do it. And so I'm going to be continuing to do it through into 2023 here. So Wes, welcome. Why don't you give a quick summary of your background, who you are, for people who haven't run into you before?
I am a displaced Southerner, lived in California for the first time when I was in the Air Force in 94, 95, got married. Yeah. We moved away for 9 years, been back here since 04, 7 kids. I've always been in sales since I got out of the Air Force in 97. Started the Sales Whisperer in 2006. I was just always, I spent a lot of time in high tech, and there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of issues in the early 2000s, if you can imagine. And so just the chaos of that life, it made me much less fearful of going out on my own. So I did. And that had its own ups and downs, but it's like, all right, at least I'm controlling it. Right. And but I've always had a knack for teaching and training and explaining things. There was always seems to be, even still to this day, what's the word, dearth, lacking of what I consider quality sales training. And but by going out on my own, I stumbled across Infusionsoft in the summer of 2008. I was already using a tool made by a local company. A friend of mine, she was working there at the time. It was like a precursor. It was like a miniature version of Infusionsoft back then. And I'd always embraced CRMs and technology. I forget exactly when. It was around 2001. I was with a tech company. We didn't have a BlackBerry server back then. And but I got a BlackBerry phone, and they were bigger than the big phones we have today. And so, like, my friends would mock me, oh, it's like you're holding up a radio to your head, but I was always on a headset, so I could talk, so I could multitask. And I convinced, it wasn't even hard, but I convinced my IT department in Utica, New York, because I think still to this day, like, when you get a cell phone, you have an email address given to you by your cell phone provider, by your carrier, right? Verizon, AT&T, whatever. We just never use it.
Yeah.
And it's some random thing, at vz.whatever.com. And so I convinced my IT department to BCC that email address on all of my incoming email. Okay. And so you didn't have IMAP and all that crap back then. So it wasn't synchronized. But when you're a traveling salesman, able to, we couldn't get our email, so you got to the hotel room that night, right? You go on appointments all day, you get dinner, whatever. I mean, you're not getting back to your room till 10, 11 o'clock. You're tired, had a few drinks, and now, oh shit, you got to go check 20, 50 emails. Oh, and there's one in there saying, hey, I'd like to place an order if you can get it done today. Oops, I missed that one. So I was always, figuring out how to leverage technology as to be my friend, right? Yeah. And so when I ran across Infusionsoft, I saw the power of it. I got in early, and since then I've been certified on Entreport and HubSpot, and have affiliate relationships with Nimble and ActiveCampaign and several others, and some ancillary tools. I have the CRM Sushi podcast, where I have technology executives come in and demo their solution. So, it's like, if technology is here to stay, so let's figure out how to use it to make more sales, right?
Yeah. So you've been on it since then, the early 2000s. And I too went through that. There was an implosion in the value-added reseller world around 2008, through 2012, 2013. And I helped a lot of tech people through that period. By the way, guys, I've known Wes for years. He's one of the very few number of sales pros who I feel comfortable learning from, which is why he doesn't really know that, but like, there's maybe 5 or 6 people who I'll take advice from, right? Because I'm pretty good, right? And I know the quality of advice that I'm going to get from you. It's when you offered this 12 weeks to peak program, and it was free, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get in and I'm going to commit. Like, there was no question on my side about, well, I'll see what it's about. It was, Wes is offering this thing, it's going to be good, and it's going to help me. And I don't really care what's inside, right? Yeah. I didn't care. I was like, all right, if he tells me I got to do 20 pull-ups a day, that's what I'm going to do, right? And so I got it. So tell me how you came up with the 12 weeks to peak concept and why you believe it's valuable.
Well, just like you're reading the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun, right? It's a conglomeration, an amalgamation, a blending of things that I've seen. But there are a lot of programs out there well, let me go back to, there's a book, Brian Moran. I had him on my podcast not too long, I don't know, a year or so ago, but I read his book and did a book review on his book, The 12-Week Year.
Yeah.
And so that had a profound effect on me, how he's just consolidating goals. And I've always been a proponent, I tell my clients, you manage activity, but you pay on results.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And because too many sales managers, VPs are here, $1.2 million quota, that's $100,000 a month. Go get them, Tiger. It's like, well, what do I do to get there? Do I make 10 calls? Do I make 50 calls? Do I make 100 calls a day? Do I attend Chamber of Commerce functions? Do I send handwritten notes? What do I do? But most companies, they don't know, right? They just grind it out and figure it out and hustle and it's like, that's crap, right? That's not scalable. That's why there's such turnover in sales. So I read that book and so I kind of had 12 weeks in my mind. It's been in my brain now for years.
Yeah.
And I like alliteration and rhyming. I'm a writer as well. And so, 12 weeks to peak. So it kind of rhymes. But I've seen other programs that they're unsustainable. That's the problem, specifically around fitness. But they really push people, and you have a great month, a great quarter, but then it's unsustainable.
Right.
Woo! Thank goodness for a mute button, huh?
The mute button.
Yep. So I want it. So not only are they unsustainable, they're isolated. They're too focused on just fitness or just business. And, the hip bone's connected to the leg bone. If you are too focused and too out of balance in any area, you're going to have problems. You can't have one tire on your car at proper air pressure and the rest are low. You're going to have problems. So I looked at everything that I do and have done for years because, 27 years, 7 kids, I've been the sole breadwinner. And so when I do something, when I study something, it's got to work. I can't look at something and say, well, I hope this works or hope it works down the line, or I'll just dabble in it. Like, no, kids want to eat. I got 7 kids and a wife and a dog. They want to eat 3 meals a day. Right. And they want a roof over their heads. And so, everything is connected. If you party during the week, you're not going to get good sleep. You don't get good sleep. You won't wake up in time. You won't have good exercise, good fitness. You'll stumble in the office late. You don't have your game face on. So you're dabbling through work, and then you don't get stuff done. And so maybe you skip your workout later in the day or half-ass your workout because you're still trying to finish emails, whatever else. And it's just this constant snowball and circling the drain. Yeah. So it's like, let's look at your personal development. Let's look at your physical fitness. Let's look at your professional development, just on and on and on. And what's realistic that you can do every single day. And there are variations during the week. Like, I do give you a break on weekends. You want to have a few drinks with your friends, eat some junk food, eat the fries, have a donut. Okay. Do it on weekends, but 5 days a week, be clean. Right. And let's see if we can build some good habits. And so that's just how it came about, and I keep tweaking it. I've improved the tracking spreadsheet since you started. And it's free. I had a LinkedIn group that I started. I'm going, talking about learning. I'm going through a group launch training. So I may put the group on to Facebook. There's pros and cons to every platform, right? But obviously more people are there. But it's just a support thing. And, people are like, well, why is it free? Surely there's a catch. You got some $25,000 gold, platinum, emerald, ruby, VIP, titanium mastermind down there. And it's like, I don't have any of that stuff. I do have a sales training course. I've got an on-demand course. I've got a weekly group call. I do consulting. So obviously I want to build awareness of who I am. And so by having an audience, I will get business and referrals and whatnot. But there's no hidden motive, right? There's no big upsell hitting people. I'm working on a physical guide, because I have you journal. So right now you're just journaling on your own. So, all right, maybe in another quarter, I'll have a physical journal you can buy, but still those things are super inexpensive. So it's just a way to truly help people kind of follow the plan I have followed. And it's supposed to make you uncomfortable, but it's all achievable, right? Nothing in there. There's nothing, instead of, working out 45 minutes a day, twice a day, one time outside. Can you imagine like living in Buffalo and you had to work outside, exercise outside last week? I mean, okay, you could do it, but it's like, are you going to do that next winter when you're done with the program? Like, no. But can you do 30 minutes of jump rope and some pull-ups and some sit-ups and some burpees in your room, in your garage when you're snowbound? Yeah, you can do that. And you should do that, right? Especially if you're locked in, you better get the blood flowing. You better have the discipline not to eat and drink yourself into oblivion because you're snowed in for a week. So that's the goal, man.
All right. Fascinating. Very, very important. Like, I never got an email from Wes pitching me on anything because I was in this program. It never happened. I am on his email list and I do get other things, but that was way predating, and you don't hammer people. It feels like once a month, but it's probably once every 2 weeks or something like that. Or when you feel
I
like
know.
it
And
even,
look,
I don't even
and
know.
hey, and full disclaimer, I will be building out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And more support emails, right? Because this is new. I've got multiple programs that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And so there will be, because I did a copywriting class and super cheap. I never did a copywriting class. I do copywriting for people, but people in my group wanted me to do it. So, all right, I'll do a cheap one. We'll see how it goes. And I support them for a month, but people aren't self-motivating like they need to be. And I realize,
I wish they were. Yep,
right. Yeah. And I realize
I'm the rarity. I know it.
I know.
Yeah.
But they need little nudges. So there will be more nudges in the coming months and years, but it's more of a reminder and inspiration to do things. There'll always be a PS, check out the podcast, PS, maybe you want my book, but we should be marketing to people. All right. So asking for a sale of something that benefits somebody is not a bad thing. But yes, there's no bait and switch, right? It's free. So there's none of that kind of BS.
Right. Like a video game with in purchase, in-app purchases or something. Yeah.
Yeah. There's none of that.
What I really liked, Wes, was, and you've actually made me remember. So 2 things, folks. You may have noticed I changed my background. I had the clouds up. That's my sales call background. I am so busy on sales calls now because of the habits that I've developed that I was on calls up to right before we recorded, and I forgot to change the background. Okay. Number one.
But I noticed, though, you have a good background. Are you... I've experimented with different ones, and I'm literally thinking about getting just a whiteboard with a physical banner that I tape behind me. How are you doing it? That looks good.
This is just Zoom's background, but I have a green screen. I have a green screen back there and a lot of light.
Oh, the green screen is what helps. I have a green screen too, but it's like, I changed offices and I changed my orientation in my office. So.
And I recently upgraded from my old C920 Logitech camera, which was fine, but I realized I looked it up and I bought it in 2014. I did the same. And it's a much nicer camera now. It looks like a DSLR lens. But the other habit anyway that I found, like stuff that you brought up, not eating desserts during the week. Like, I've never been a huge dessert guy, even though I'm a little overweight. It's weird. I think it's just total calories and not enough exercise. But and I'm improving. But I don't eat desserts during the week, really. And I realized, like, that became a habit, and I forgot. Right? I forgot that it came out of that program. The sleeping, I've been sleeping way better because I ended up prioritizing. Yeah, I got blackout curtains for that bedroom. My girlfriend and I talked about it, and like we reoriented the bed. Like just, and I've lived here a year and a half. Like we just made a bunch of changes that I would not have made just passively on my own, right? So
because everything's connected, right? The hip bone's connected to the leg bone,
right? Earlier today,
spills over.
Yeah. Earlier today, I made a video, a 12 weeks to peak video, and uploaded it because somebody didn't show for their sales call. And I'm like, I didn't go, well, I have a moment, I'm going to go have a coffee and screw around. I went, I need to make a video. And it was the most natural thing in the world. And my content was based on something that came out of a call earlier in the day. Right.
Yeah.
So these habits, folks,
it's hard. It might have been hard at
powerful.
first. I mean, you've been doing your own thing for a while, so you've got a little rhythm and some experience, but it'll be hard for people in the beginning. But once you get in the zone and you start, you build in these habits, it becomes pretty easy. It becomes natural. But anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, right?
Right. Be willing to begin badly. Yes.
You're going to be bad at first on some of these things. But you'll get better. But video is important. Writing is important. Everything I put in there is intentional. It's beneficial. And look, I'm allowing people to tweak the numbers a little bit. I put some recommendations, but you can, I've made it now on a beginning tab where you put your own numbers. But, I want people to, just like when I give them phone scripts, it's like start with the script and stick to it for a while before you poo-poo it. Yes, everybody's different. You'll start to tweak it a little bit to make it your own, but start with what you're given and run with it to get uncomfortable on purpose. But also you may be surprised that making some outbound calls is better for you than you thought because you were just hiding from it because it was uncomfortable. And we think, oh, I can't, that schedule, it's too strict and I'm going to feel too bound up and, I need more freedom and flexibility. And it's like routine gives us freedom. And it's kind of counterintuitive to people a lot of times, but it's like most people, when I tell them this story, it's like, because I got a big family and there's always somebody sleeping and I get up before everybody anyway. Right. But I can brush my teeth, shower, get dressed in the dark. Right. I know where my underwear is. I know where my white socks are. My black socks are. I know where I keep my shorts. I hang my t-shirts in the same place. My toothbrush and toothpaste is in the exact same spot. I'm not on a hunt every day, like a scavenger hunt. Where's my toothbrush?
Right.
Because if we had to do that, we'd use up all of our time and energy on stupid things. As I'm getting dressed and showering, my mind is free to roam. I can think through some things. And so when you know what you're going to do next, you can look at it and say, well, that's stifling, or you can say it's freeing.
Well, I like to think about it this way. Somebody, this is back in the operations management program, 1994 to 96 that I took. They're like, how do you fill this jar with these like big rocks, little rocks, and sand, right? And the key was actually to put the big rocks in first, and then everything else would fall around it. So I think of the schedule or fitting these things in as like, you're getting the important things done. They're done.
Yes.
Now I don't have to worry about them. And the freedom comes from they're done. My third year.
You can truly relax at that point, right? We don't have enough downtime. We think, it's weak. It's, it's weak to sleep. It's weak to, and like, no, you've been fed a bunch of crap, man.
Yes, the hustle culture. I'm completely in agreement with you. A long time ago, I read something about if you had a racehorse, would you keep it up late feeding it cigarettes and drinks?
Yeah.
Right? And then expecting it to run out and race well. And I was like, oh, the downtime, the time to synthesize things in your head, right? All the stuff coming at you, or just relax and not think about any of this stuff. right?
Yeah.
And then come back to it. Like, I'm excited. Usually people are like, oh, Monday. I'm like, yes, another kick at the can, another swing at the bat. Let's see what we can do here, right?
Let's get after it.
You know, you mentioned sort of singing to the song sheet to begin with and then adjusting it. Our mutual friend, Nick Louisi, who I was chit-chatting with before we got on here today, I started a new project with him. You might imagine I'm a pretty experienced salesperson at this point, right? And I have my own ways of doing things. I'm following his script for the thing that we're doing, right? I read it. I'm like, okay, this is not exactly the way I would do it, but you know what? I'm going to shut that off, that reaction off to begin with, and sing the song sheet and see how it goes. And, you know, second day on the funnel, I made a sale yesterday, right? And this is, you know, a medium to high 4-figure sale. It's nothing. It's certainly not the biggest dollar thing that I've ever done, but it's a different kind of offer, right? It's a new thing. So that's kind of fun. Cool. And it comes from singing the song sheet. Now we have a baseline, and then I can begin to wiggle around it. Okay.
Yep.
Let's get into the kinds of things that you want people to do in this program, and why you believe they're beneficial. Like you mentioned, there's no point in you starting something if you know or you think it's probably not going to be effective, right? You
Right.
want to jump into stuff and know, yes, this is going to help me. So how did you pick, and what did you pick to include?
We can't tell them everything, man.
I know. Well, that's a long
leave a
list.
little for the imagination. But hell, I got my tab right here, man.
Yep.
So there's a good bit of outbound effort in this, right? Outbound calls, outbound emails, text messages, in-person visits, handwritten notes, even, you know, direct mail. So, you know, if you're in sales, you got to get out there and mix it up, right? Sales is a contact sport. So there are, you know, I'm going through a course right now on building groups, but takes a lot of time. You have to already have a program developed. You're running ads, you're paying money. So there's, I'm not saying it's like SEO versus paid ads. I'm not saying don't do SEO. I built my business organically that way. But as I was doing the SEO, I was making cold calls back in 2006, 2007, you know, filling the funnel, filling that pipeline. So, but if you are a W-2 employee, you can't create your own group. You're not writing your own blogs, right? You're an employee. There's standards. And so do more outbound, do intentional outreach. Okay. Along those lines, ask for referrals, ask for testimonials. And there's not a hard and fast goal on those to achieve them, but you must ask for them. Okay. And let's see what happens, you know, because there's a big misconception, you know, in sales, I can't force you to buy from me, but I can force myself to do all the right things to stack the odds in my favor that I make the sale. So asking for referrals and testimonials is one of them. You know, I want you to track how many proposals are you sending. I've got a free sales calculator on my website. I actually just updated that this week. And it's a very detailed Google sheet. You get it for free. And it has you tracking your numbers, and then doing a little dreaming. You know, what happens if you grew that 10%? What does it look like? What do you have to do to double your income? Right. So start looking at some bigger numbers, but on the proposal side, you should be closing the vast majority of your proposals. But most salespeople use proposals as kind of a wish list. Like, let me just dangle this hook and maybe they'll bite. Like, oh, you're doing it all wrong, right? If
Don't
you're not
give the
closing,
proposal,
until if you're not closing 80, 95% of your proposals, I mean, something's wrong. But you know, so I'm having you track your numbers, right? Proposals sent. How many are you winning? how much money are you making each day and each week? How many proposals are you losing, right? So if you can measure it, you can improve it, whatever it is. So I want you engaging intentionally with prospects on social media, not just looking at old girlfriends and boyfriends, not just reading, the latest political crap. Twitter, you can build lists. You can build a list of prospects, customers, partners, things like that. So be intentional with how you engage with people on social media, and do it, right? You don't have to hide from it, but be intentional with it. I want you creating content every day, videos, writing. But you can repurpose your content, and you should.
Yeah.
So one of the recommendations I give is to join intentional groups on LinkedIn that relate to your business. Look on Quora, right? It's a good place. Even Reddit. Reddit is kind of the Wild West. Quora is a little more focused, but you can look at topics. You can see questions that are being asked. So like I belong to a sales thread and a CRM thread, or subreddit on Reddit. I follow CRM and technology threads on Quora. So when I see someone ask a question, because a lot of times people are, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what's great content about. Okay, I understand. If it's new to you, it might be hard in the beginning. So hang out in those kind of places, see a question, go, oh, I know how to answer that question. Make a video that answers that question. So now there's your video for the day. Now, and if you're not great on video, then make an outline of how you would answer it. Now you've got an outline, keep you on task, make the video, go back to the outline, fill it in, write a 700-word post. And, I don't have authority to write on my website, whatever. Fine. Post it as an article on LinkedIn. Post it on Medium. You can do your own Medium, places like that, but get it written down and shared. So now you have a video. Now you have a blog post, okay, or at least an article. You can maybe use Canva, create a little slide carousel out of the main points, share that on Instagram. So now multimedia, multi-step. Maybe you strip out the audio and you had a blog post. Okay, so you can do a lot of things quickly once you have your routine down. But it will be hard in the beginning. You will get frustrated in the beginning, but look, this is worth it. We've all gone through these things. I've never had to do a lot of paid ads, so I'm trudging through Facebook's system, setting it up. And yes, eventually I'll hire somebody to do it, but I want to know. I've had the wool pull over my eyes too many times from contractors. So it's like, I'm going to figure it out. Look, in the last couple of weeks, I had a VA. They raised their prices on me. They were taking too long. But they had helped me with my podcast literally for years. And whatever you measure, you can improve. So I just let it run too long without me supervising it. But all of a sudden, because I was on a monthly retainer, and they go, hey, yeah, we can't make your post. I saw a post, a podcast wasn't shared. I go, why wasn't this published? Oh, your balance with us is negative. I'm like, my balance is negative. Like, I got a credit card on file. I literally thought I had like a $500 credit because I was making, one podcast every 5 days or so. It's like, that shouldn't eat up my monthly budget. But, they're taking 2 hours to edit a podcast. I'm like, it should be a 30-minute process. But then I go and look, and Apple and all the other platforms had changed. So it's like, it's much faster. So the thing, they weren't improving anything, right? They were just doing, they were just hammering in the nail. So I'm like, you got to keep your finger on the pulse of things, because your contractors won't care. They just want to get paid. Okay. They're few and far between that'll come to you and say, hey, you know what, there's been a change. Let me show you how this is done. You know, what we used to think, you know, what was 2 hours, it's now 35 minutes. You know, let us help you streamline it. They don't do that. Right. So you're always going to have to learn something new. Now this chat GPT, whatever, and AI, it's all the rage. There's always something that's going to come.
Yeah.
So stay plugged in, right? So some of the other things are like, write a recommendation on LinkedIn for someone.
Mm-hmm.
That should take you 5 minutes at most.
Yeah.
And now you're in a giving mindset, and you'll be surprised. You know, if you want to get recommendations, give them. I promise you, if you go give if you give one a day in the course of a week, you'll get one back at least. People return the favor, right? So that's a nice way to show up on people's feed and get a little top of mind awareness by giving. You know, so none of this is hard. You know, journal by hand for 10 minutes. Read not only nonfiction, but every day I want you reading some fiction. I think that's new since you did it. And it's interesting. I'm always learning, right? And one of the guys, which one was I reading? I don't know. I got a couple of books I'm going through. But it makes sense. The guy was talking about when we watch movies, when we read novels, so longer form content, not just a quick show. Although I think they did say like if you watched a long series, you could kind of get into this flow. But it helps you see things from the perspective of others, right? When you read a novel, I mean, you're immersed in, right? You're seeing the characters, and oh, I like that guy. Oh, I don't like that guy, and you have to kind of have this internal dialogue. But they were saying the more fiction and novels that you read, the more empathetic you are as a salesperson, as a person, right? But in sales, being empathetic is one of the one of the main attributes of great salespeople, is that we are empathetic. So I have you reading some fiction. We need to not be always all business all the time. You know, it makes Jack a dull boy, something, right? You know, have some personality and, you know, reward yourself. I love movies. I love binging on Netflix and Amazon Prime. I've already watched the entire Jack Ryan series. You know, I mean, it's okay. Cause you know, there's some hard asses out there. I don't do any of that. I just work out. I just eat, you know, a dozen raw eggs and I work. If that's you, God bless you.
You must be great fun at parties.
It's like, I wish I was tougher, right? I wish I was that guy, but I'm not. So I'm gonna watch a movie. You know, I'm gonna read some novels, and so you can see. And so, like I mentioned, exercising 30 minutes a day, but just each weekday. You want to take the weekends off? Take the weekends off. I'm not a hard ass, but you need to work out 5 days a week. Okay, at least. You need to drink more water. Have you drink a half a gallon?
Yes,
one program
that I'm doing.
This one program has you drink a gallon. And my daughter, like a couple of weeks ago, she was experimenting. Oh, I was easy. I drank that whole gallon. Like, okay, I've struggled with drinking a gallon. I can drink half a gallon, no problem. So, and we talked about the you know, and just eating right during the week. Again, the goal is to create a lifestyle for you, not a 30, 60, 90 day intensive that you then fall off of. Because something like 95% of people that lose weight on a fitness program, gain it back within like 5 years or something.
I certainly did.
You know, I've been on my own. I've been in sales since 97, been on my own since 2006, been married 27 years, 7 kids. My wife is a baker. I have 5 daughters. They all bake. Okay. I'm still in pretty good shape. Right. And it's through having some discipline, right? I've always managed to work out. You know, I've been doing jujitsu now for 6 years. You know, 8 years ago, I started training. I did the Tampa Bay Frogman swim. I did that for 7 years, 3.5 miles across Tampa Bay. And so I had to start swimming, you know, so I've always exercised. And even when I could eat more junk, the more that I exercised. Right. So now I'm trying to exercise even more, but eat less junk. So I mean, I'm going through all this as well. But again, I wanted it to be sustainable, not a quick hit, not a gimmick. Because I do question some of the programs that are out there. I know they've got ulterior motives. They've got big supplements and things they want you to buy behind the scenes, and that's okay. It's all legal. It helps some people. I just want to help more people legitimately.
Right. Right. Well, I can speak from experience. This program has taken nothing away from me. It hasn't taken my life. I get to be the person that I am anyway, right? And also it's added so many things. Like you say, the freedom, the opportunity to make more money, plenty of opportunity to make more money. Right? More than I thought was out there, to tell you the truth, right? Just stuff keeps coming to me. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4 more discovery calls today after this.
Wow.
And I had 1 no-show and 2 calls before this. So it's, these are busy days, right? And
it's a busy day when most people are goofing off. They're goofing off all week. Right. They've been goofing off the whole month.
Right. Now, it was my birthday on the 27th. I didn't do anything Monday, Tuesday this week. That was the 26th, 27th. I had a kind of a part-time day Wednesday. So I didn't kill myself. I still did 3 discovery calls and had a personal industry call, space and defense industry call on Wednesday. And then I did an hour and a half Facebook Live workshop, right, in the evening, right? But I don't know. I feel like I have more energy than I did 6 months ago, right, for doing this, because that Wednesday seemed like a light day to me. And yet I was still here from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. right at the computer. Today is a longer day. I was here from say 9, and I'll be here until 5:30 or something like that, which again, that's a standard work day. But for somebody who works from home, for a business owner like myself, our tendency is to blow off the day as fast as possible, right? Because there's no one to tell us not to, right? But when you have the habits, when you have the 12 weeks to peak stuff, right, instilled as a habit, it's much easier. All right, Wes, what we haven't talked about is, where do people go to sign up for this?
Just 12weekstopeak.com.
Ah, okay, excellent. I didn't know you had gotten that.
Yeah.
So I'll link to that below as well in the notes. This should come out in the first couple weeks of January, Wes. So we should see a bump. Hopefully, folks seeing this. This is something that you can do. Okay, anybody can do. I know Wes listed off a lot of things that may sound like a lot, but they're little things, right? And it's that incremental improvement in everything. The journaling, like becoming more self-aware, becoming more conscious of like what you're doing, and purposeful, right? Like, I'm not going to sit at my desk here without a reason. Now, like it's 6 months ago, I probably would have, right? And just tooled around on Facebook looking for stuff or something like that, right? I will literally shut off the computer and leave the room now, right? And go do something else, if that's the case. So little things like that, like I haven't even really thought about that until this moment, but that's a significant shift, right? There's a lot of self-employed business owners that I know who sit there and just sort of scroll through Facebook all day, looking for some opportunity to come up, and like it keeps coming at them, right? The posts are coming at them, and I used to do that. 2017, Jason would have done that, right? Yeah. And you accomplish very little doing that. Something might come up.
You always feel tired, right? And people like, well, I didn't do that much, but I didn't accomplish much. Why am I tired? Like, because you didn't accomplish much, because you're frazzled, you're pulled in multiple directions. It's like having a bunch of tabs open in your computer. Right. It's slowly grinding you down. You got to get some clarity. You need some focus. Get something done. Forget about it till the next day. Like, okay, I did that. Done. Next. I know I'm doing the right things. Right. And it's like, sales, it's like weight loss. They are lagging indicators.
Right. Yeah, it's often the stuff we did a month ago or 3 weeks ago that turns into the money today. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I have found I can say this feeling really good about it. My interest in the future has really dropped. I'm more interested in like what's happening today. What am I doing today? And how well am I showing up on these calls? Because I know the money will come in, right? Because it has, and it does. But I know that what my performance is in the now matters more than worrying about pro forma income revenue numbers or something like that, right? It's a different perspective, right? I'm a lot more relaxed about myself as opposed to, oh my gosh, I got to look 6 weeks out. This expense is coming up. I got to watch for it. And you feel like you're crashing the car, right? As opposed to this, where it's like, I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. I know I'm getting results. I know I'm going to have good results out there based on the stuff that I did today. We're cool, right? And it's a funny feeling. It's very different than who I was a few years ago, let's say. I think I would definitely have been that guy. Looking at this and being in your program has really accented that, and brought it up to the fore. Okay, so people should go to 12weekstopeak.com. If they were interested in getting coaching from you, right, or training from you, what resources, what would you direct them to? Let's say at a couple different levels. Let's talk about first the newbie level, and then let's talk about somebody who's been a salesperson for a few years, knows how to get people on the phone or, and have a conversation, that kind of thing.
Well, both of those would benefit from two programs, and it just kind of depends on their confidence level. So one is makeeverysale.com. That's my on-demand content, 41 videos and workbook and everything. Super. It's cheap. I won't even say the price. Go check it out. It's cheap. You probably, your barbell this Christmas was more expensive than that program. And so that's, if you're a beginner, it's good because it covers the fundamentals. If you're experienced, but you haven't gone through training in a while, it's a great refresher. It'll remind you of some core principles that you have probably allowed to fall by the wayside. And I equate everything to jujitsu now. And
all right.
We do a lot of the same things over and over again, but every time. So like our main instructor is on vacation this week. So some other black belts are teaching. This one guy is super good. And he taught the same thing 2 days in a row because we had different people. It was holidays. You would think everybody would be coming in, but like everybody's taking off. So we're having like these small classes. So it's almost like private lessons with this like first degree black belt that's just a ninja. And I didn't get upset that he taught the same thing. Right. I was like, great. I get more repetition. And you know what? I learned new things. I've been doing this 6 years. And so 2 days in a row, he's showing up. It's not a basic choke, but it's a common attack. And like I learned 2 or 3 new things yesterday, even though it was the second time doing it after doing it for 6 years. So having a refresher you can go back to helps everyone. I don't care what level you're at. And then my ongoing is, and I changed the name not too long ago, but it's Gorillas of Growth. Gorillasofgrowth.com. Be a gorilla. And so you can join quarter to quarter, or you can save a chunk and join for the year. But you get everything in the Make Every Sale program, but then there's a private group, and I do a live call every Monday. And so it's interactive and ongoing. So, but sometimes you need to ask questions, and I, if you ask a sincere question, you're plugged in. It's like, I'm at my computer like you. I mean, most days, most hours of the day. And, I hop on and answer questions, and because scenarios come up, right? Things come up, and you're like, man, how do I skin this cat? It's like, well, let's figure it out. That's what I love to do. That's my goal this next year, is to build up these groups. And so I can just help more people. I love just being here and answering questions. If I had 1,000 people in that group, I would literally not do anything else. Just sit there and just help people all day. I mean, that's what I love doing, helping people through sales and marketing issues.
Awesome. Well, folks, go to 12weekstopeak.com and join us in there. I
I think one thing that we should cover last, we've had some people who came in, and I know because I was there, right? And then maybe they did the stuff for like a day, and then they fell off the wagon, and then they would come back to you and complain, "Sorry, Wes, I fell off the wagon." And then it was like their attitude was like, "Oh no, now I've been like thrown outside the walls of the castle and the gate's shut, and I can't get back in." I'm like, that's nonsense. Just what should they do at that point?
Yeah. Dude, there's literally, and look, again, going back to jiu-jitsu, it took me about 18 months to internalize and accept the fact that there is no failure. You win or you learn. Okay. And so I don't care if you mess up after a day or on, the 11th week, you can beat yourself up, but it's like, okay, didn't you learn something through that process? So even if you have to go back and start again, you don't get a silver star at the end of this, or a smiley, happy face. The goal is just to help you figure out yourself and figure out your ideal routine. And, because you may discover at the end, you don't have to make any cold calls, maybe video and paid ads and SEO, and okay, fine. But it's the lack of activity, the lack of getting started, that is the reason for the majority of failures. So yes, it's great if you just go through this and every day is perfect and you do the 12 weeks. I hope it's like chasing belts in jiu-jitsu. The higher up that I got, the less I wanted the next promotion.
Yeah, it hardly matters to me. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know I'm getting better. I know I'm having fun, making great friends. But there's pressure with each promotion. I got promoted to brown belt last month, way ahead of what I thought. I was a happy 4-stripe purple belt. So, I'm good enough to beat most people, or at least defend myself from even the best guys. The best ones have to fight hard to get me. So I'm like, I'm having fun. I'm respected, but man, you go to that next level. It's like, oh hell. Cause that opened up a whole new game. Cause in jiu-jitsu, there are some risky moves. And so when you're new, you can't do really hardly any of them. When you're a blue belt, okay, now you can do wrist locks. When you get to brown belt, it opens up everything: heel hooks, toe holds, knee bars, and so it gets more advanced. And that's the nice thing with it. It keeps it fresh, right? Just like going, playing a golf course, right? So, imagine like you only play from the whites. Well, now you get enough experience. Now you got to play from the blues. Oh, you get more. Oh, you got to play from the blacks. Oh, you get more experience. Oh, you got to play all the way from the golds, right? The tips and the back. Same course, right? But my kids can play from the blues. I can play from the tips. And even though I play more golf than them, I could lose to them because it's a handicap type system, right? So just keep going, right? You're learning every day. If you failed in the 11th week, there's no failing. You learn something. You learn.
Start tomorrow again.
Yeah. But you don't look at it as failure. You learned where you have a weakness.
Right.
So fill in that gap. Start again. Because again, the goal is to create something you can do forever. That's the goal.
Right.
Is to create an eternal system for you to work, to live, to develop. That's the purpose.
Excellent. Yeah. Folks, I haven't done this stuff every single day. But I've done it a hell of a lot more than just about everybody else who was in that first iteration, right? I made that video today. It was the 57th video. Okay, 57. Like I talk about the importance of having a body of work. Don't go to the Cold Star Tech channel, folks. Go to the Jason Kanigan YouTube channel, and the effective prospecting series that I've been making for the 12 Weeks to Peak program is in there. And I just keep adding to it. And like after 20 days or so, I had to go to take a holiday and go to an event in Wilmington. Took that day off. Okay, big deal. No one cares, right? It wasn't a failure, right? Come back next week, started the videos up again because of the habit, right? So don't beat yourself up. Yeah, if you miss a day or something like that, but do take it as a, oh, okay, well, why did that happen? Right? And what can I do about it? And let me get back on the horse here. So,
yeah. Amen.
All right. Well, excellent. I really appreciate you coming here to do this, Wes. It's a very valuable program. Again, it's free, 12weekstopeak.com. Anybody who's a freelancer, a founder, a salesperson, go over there and do it, whether you're working for a corporate entity or or for yourself. All right. Go there and check it out. And I appreciate you being here, Wes.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Wes, for coming on. If you've listened to this and you realize that this is something you could benefit from, get on over to 12weekstopeak.com. It's the number 12. Okay. 12 weeks to peak, all one word.com, and sign up. Get in there. It's all sorts of free goodies that will support you in your sales journey to improving your output, production, revenue, money. I like these things. All right. Just before I go, I want to give a shout out to the America's Future Series. If you hadn't heard, David Hamilton, the founder of America's Future Series, and I announced a promotional partnership. That means we're going to be talking about each other's stuff, sharing each other's content, because we align 100% on our views about making America the best, making sure that America remains the preeminent power in the world so that we can share our values. So watch for more advisements and go check out the America's Future Series website, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.